they put us right to work. We went to General Patton's Third Army in northern France, and we were stationed there until the time of the Bulge, and then they were all called north. And we went forced march from northeastern France, clear up through Belgium and Holland, 24 hours a day, pedal to the metal, really, but in a tank that's only 30 miles an hour. The tanks nowadays, they're like a palace, air conditioned and heated. Those weren't. There was nothing. But we did run them. We did run the engines 5 minutes every hour to make sure everything was going along right. But they didn't get warm enough to do us any good. So it wasn't really any way of keeping warm. At night, we would try to sleep 3 in a group, right tight together. Every half hour, the inside guy went outside, the outside guy came in. But that made a little bit of warmth for your body, but it wasn't pleasant by a long ways. At least 2 weeks before the skies cleared and they came with the airplanes and started to chase the Germans out, which was all that saved it, because here you're in a tank with a 3-inch naval gun, being attacked by a German Tiger tank with an 88 with 11 inches of armor in the front and sides. The only possible way you could fight them was to get around behind them and maybe get a shot in the engine. And once in a while you get lucky and you could put an armor-piercing shell into the engine. But that didn't, unless it blow the tank up, that didn't disable the tank, because it still could run the turret. So the best way to do it was to knock off a track or something and then use Molotov cocktails, set the thing afire. And you knew you had disabled it. I would swear you could walk anywhere in this area and not go 10 feet without stepping on a body. Most all of them German, because the Americans picked theirs up fast. Took them away where they belonged, but they left the Germans. If anything they could do to handle them, wasn't any fun. I still see it at night lots of times. It doesn't really bother me as far as being able not to sleep, but it's in your head all the time. And I'm so thankful that my son didn't have to go. And I'm so thankful for the guys that didn't have to go, but the ones that did are amazing men, I tell you. There isn't anybody in the world any better than a veteran who's served overseas. We went on through east toward the German border. We weren't there yet, hadn't gotten there yet. And we got as far as, I can't think of the name of the river, but the river that we weren't allowed to cross, that the Russians were going to have the other side of it. And we were 7 miles away when they called it off, and they said it was over with. So we couldn't get to Germany itself. And because they were giving Berlin to the Russians. After that, we spent a little time, we cleaned up everything, turned in a lot of equipment, and then they were convoyed to Bischofszell in Czechoslovakia. And there was an old logging camp that the Germans had used with the POWs and to cut timber. And there was a nice headquarters building and everything, and they gave that to us as a place to live. We built floors and put up tents. And, well, most of it was large buildings, what would have been dormitories, where they put these POWs and the Jews and just stacked them. They were like 7 or 8 tall, high, in bunks, barely wide enough to get in and out of. And smell, my word, vomit and feces just everywhere. There was no sanitation of any sort. And guys that probably weighed, people that probably weighed 150 pounds when they went in probably didn't weigh 60 when they were through. You could just pick them up by one hand. And the walls of these camps were usually high barbed wire, and maybe not only one, but maybe 2 or 3 different sets of wires to prevent escape. But that's nothing to do with a tank. You just drive it on through it. We gave them all the water we could, but you don't dare feed somebody fast who has not had food. A nibble is it. We gave them, spread our rations out among them, spread out, excuse me. And some of them ate, some of them didn't. Some of them were too sick to eat. I don't know what kept most of them alive except hope. I've seen burial pits with probably 1,000 bodies in it, waiting to be covered. They cover the layer, bring in another layer of bodies, they cover another layer of dirt, because they didn't have time to burn all of them. You see the concentration camps and the camps where the people died and were burned. It's atrocious to even think of seeing it. We got into one concentration camp where the ovens were still going. The bodies were still not consumed entirely inside. But we just drove tanks straight through the walls, and in we came. And by that time, most of the Germans had left already. Those few that didn't leave, didn't leave. They were gone. They were taken care of quickly. So I don't really know what to tell the younger generation, except if it has to be done, it has to be done.